2020 has been an incredibly positive year for Bitcoin. In recent months, we've seen the CIO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset management firm, state that he believes that Bitcoin could largely replace gold in the future. We've seen Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, invest 90% of the company's treasury into Bitcoin. And on top of that, we've seen a number of other prominent investors and business leaders around the world publicly state that they are invested in Bitcoin. Even with all of this positive news, you might be wondering, why should I care about Bitcoin? And that's a reasonable question that we're going to answer in today's video. In today's episode, we are going to be covering Bitcoin's value proposition and why Bitcoin should matter to you. So thank you for joining us on our first episode of A Walk Down Satstreet. Today's financial markets are facing a problem. Central banks around the world have taken the stance that in order to solve shocks to their domestic economies, they must aggressively pursue expansionary monetary policy. This means increasing the monetary base by printing mountains of money and keeping interest rates near, or in some cases below, 0% in order to stimulate economic activity. The United States is a great example of this, as the Federal Reserve has dropped interest rates to near 0%, and has increased the monetary base by over 20% in the year 2020 alone. This is an effective short-term solution, but can be disastrous in the long run. In the worst-case scenario, an economy can suffer from hyperinflation, like we have seen in Venezuela, who has seen the purchasing power of their currency absolutely decimated in recent years due to the use of excessively expansionary monetary policy. In the best case, a country will see a moderate but consistent decrease in the purchasing power of their currency over time. But even in this best case scenario, you, as a consumer, don't want to see the value of your hard-earned money slowly deteriorate over time due to the actions of a centralized authority. Bitcoin offers an escape from this world of inflationary monetary policy. Bitcoin offers users access to a programmably scarce, decentralized digital asset. From the perspective of scarcity, Bitcoin's decentralization refers to the fact that there is no central authority in control of the supply of Bitcoins. This means that you do not need to place any trust in a central authority or have to worry that that central authority is going to debase the value of your hard-earned money, such as is the case with fiat currencies, whose supply is determined by central banks. And in fact, if we take a look at the two most dominant fiat currencies in the history of our monetary system as we know it, the British pound and the US dollar, both have lost over 90% of their purchasing power since their inception. Bitcoin is a programmably scarce asset, meaning that its supply is determined by an algorithm. And that algorithm was designed to mimic the supply curve of gold as Bitcoins become more challenging and more costly to mine as time goes on. We know exactly what Bitcoin's supply curve is going to look like because Bitcoin's code is open source and anybody can go and take a look at it. Eventually, in the year 2140, there will be no more Bitcoin left to mine, and Bitcoin's supply will remain constant at 21 million Bitcoins. With 18.5 million Bitcoins currently in circulation, this doesn't leave much room for your investment in Bitcoin to be debased by an increase in the supply. Bitcoin is digital gold, and the gold rush is underway. Bitcoin's current market capitalization sits at $350 billion US. This is in comparison with gold's market capitalization of approximately $10 trillion US. If BlackRock's chief investment officer is correct and Bitcoin largely replaces gold, this means that your investment in Bitcoin today will produce 30x returns by the time that Bitcoin's value proposition is fully realized. Now, there are a number of alternative reasons as to why Bitcoin is a valuable asset, but these two, decentralization and programmable scarcity, make up the core of Bitcoin's value proposition. Bitcoin is a decentralized, scarce asset whose supply is not determined by a central authority, making it a trustless and verifiably scarce asset to own. This is why Bitcoin makes an excellent store of value. That does it for this week's episode of A Walk Down Satstreet. We want to thank you for tuning in, and we wanted to keep it simple in this first video and just provide a brief overview of why Bitcoin is a valuable asset. In future videos, we're going to be diving deeper into how Bitcoin works, how you can use and store Bitcoin, and other important topics so that you can understand how to properly use the revolutionary technology that is cryptocurrencies. To make sure you don't miss out on any of our future videos, hit that subscribe button, and we look forward to seeing you in next week's episode.